And for more on this, we have Akshay Tongre joining us. Well, Akshay, how significant is this so-called energy deal which we are hearing with Venezuela? And what exactly will change in terms of sanctions enforcement and oil flows after this?
Well, it is going to be quite significant for the energy market now. The world's largest oil reserve country is opening up, not on its own forcibly by the US, but that's another thing. As far as the legality and illegality of this entire thing is concerned, first the US accused Maduro of of running a drug cartel, and while he always accused the US of having planning a conspiracy to steal the Venezuelan oil, it's all coming true. Especially at this point in time when the entire focus has overnight shifted from drugs to oil once again, and the companies of the US going full swing to exploit as much as Venezuelan oil as possible. At the same time, targeting tankers of the Russian fleet that were transporting oil, sanctioning countries that are buying Russian oil, while at the same time, themselves abducting a world leader and selling their oil. So the hypocrisy is unprecedented as far as the US is concerned at this point in time, with the country, not walking the talk that and not practicing what it preaches to the rest of the world, because the sanctions on Venezuela earlier were about drugs, were about Nicolas Maduro, and as soon as the US has gotten some sort of a semblance of control of the Venezuelan oil, so all the sanctions have been lifted so that US can themselves sell this oil, while at the same time reducing the sale of Russian oil by putting sanctions on the Russian oil, and for aggressive actions against a sovereign country, while themselves selling the oil of a sovereign country after abducting their president. So it's quite hypocritical at this point in time, and it seems that the rules it seems doesn't apply to the US, and it's clearly showing an example of how might is right in today's world, and whatever the US wants to do and the Trump administration wants to do right now, they are going ahead even without giving a care about the illegalities and the ethics of the action that they are taking.
All right, Akshay, with the US seizing sanctioned tankers while selectively rolling back oil sanctions, a contradiction in Washington's approach, as you mentioned, a hypocritical approach there. What next can be expected?
Well, there are going to be tensions. There are going to be a lot of tensions in the upcoming world, because the way this entire thing has been done by the US is a classic example of how the US has sort of talked about one thing and done exactly the opposite. Talked about democracy, and what it's doing is absolutely imperialistic when you look at it from a third person's perspective. Because be it a sovereign country like Venezuela, be it a country like Denmark, the US is, especially under Trump administration, it's not even trying to hide its intentions of taking over other countries for its own benefit, and it's going to give sort of a precedence where increasingly the bigger countries, the stronger countries, are going to harass the smaller ones for their personal benefit, for their interest, without even trying to sort of follow any kind of rule-based order. So it's going to be quite chaotic if tomorrow Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukraine, or China sort of intensifies its hegemony in the South China Sea, and the countries trying to overrun other countries without a care of rule-based order in the world, and without respecting the autonomy of other countries. It's going to be quite chaotic as far as this precedence is concerned.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for all that information.